Let's take you to our nation's capital now in our year in review. And let's start with President Biden running for re-election with some of the lowest approval numbers ever. Despite a surging economy, most Americans say they aren't seeing it. Israel and Ukraine crowding out any policy wins. Marianne, does the president have time to change the storyline?
Joe Biden will be re-elected, and voters aren't going to base their vote for him on any of the issues you just mentioned. The number one issue in 2024 that Joe Biden will ride to victory: abortion. Women will turn out in droves. They understand their rights are being taken away. We've seen that in terms of the ballot questions that have come up in very conservative states. Abortion is the thing that's going to matter. And when you look at the polls, and the Republicans are really good at influencing the media and the polling to make sure they cover those issues, because those are the ones they can win on. That's not what America's going to vote on.
Rob, what do you think?
I mean, Joe Biden's lucky that presidential elections are not a referendum, but a choice between candidates. If it were a referendum, Joe Biden would lose 2/3 of the vote. But he's likely going to run against Donald Trump. That gives him a chance.
All right, let's talk about Donald Trump dividing his time between the campaign trail and the courtroom. Still the overwhelming choice for Republican primary voters. Now, with all of his baggage, can he pull off a general election win, Rob?
He can. Sounds nuts to say that, but given all that's happened with Trump and all that he's done, and the, really his horrible actions following his loss to Biden last time around, very dishonorable. That being said, he's up 4 points. Nikki Haley's up 17 points against Biden, but it doesn't look like Nikki Haley's going to get the nomination. So Trump wins because Biden is weak.
Can Trump win, Marianne?
No. And here's why. I'm going to continue on the abortion theme. Donald Trump is the reason women don't have abortion choices in this country anymore. He appointed 3 conservative justices to the Supreme Court. He ran on the fact that women shouldn't have abortions, and if they do, they should be punished, which is exactly what's happening. A woman in Texas had a miscarriage and was arrested. Women can't get abortions in the states they live in. And when you look at that, women understand what Donald Trump is to them, a threat to their very existence.
But the negatives about Trump have been baked into the cake. That's what people forget, that, you pile new negatives on top. It doesn't really hurt them because...
Don't forget that, Rob.
We'll see.
You both believe he will be on the ballot in November?
Yes.
As in running for president, right?
Yeah, barring some really strange circumstance,
okay.
but not for legal reasons.
Yeah,
he
right.
won't be.
Deeply divided Congress didn't get much done in 2023. Republicans did toss out one speaker, Kevin McCarthy, and they elected another, Mike Johnson. In the days ahead, there will be new battles over funding the government as well as funding Israel and Ukraine. After we saw in 2023, Rob, will anything change in 2024?
No. I mean, it hasn't really changed in 30 years. I mean, whoever's controlling Congress, they can't get much done. It's gotten worse than ever. I mean, they can't even do an annual budget anymore, the federal budget. That's gotten worse. But all the people who are inside the 40-yard lines, in that moderate left or right zone are gone. They've either retired or they've been pushed out by ultra-conservatives or ultra-liberals.
Well, I mean, let's look at Nancy Pelosi and everything she got done with the same margin that exists in the Republican Congress right now under Mike Johnson. Here's the problem. This Congress was the least productive Congress in history under the Republicans, number one. Number two, Mike Johnson was one of the architects of the coup, helped Donald Trump try to overthrow an election and all that, and he's like a right-wing Christian fascist that no one vetted before he became Speaker. So nothing will happen this year because of the Republicans and Mike Johnson.
Well, there we go. When we come
Happy
back.
New Year.
This is why we like our
Happy New Year,
panel
right?
here.